This is ANN News Brief.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucy Adeyemi. The UK's Defence Ministry says the first batch of 300 British troops have arrived in Mali to bolster the United Peacekeeping mission there. The rest will follow within a week. The force will join 14,000 peacekeepers from 50 nations to protect Mali's population from growing Islamist violence. The mission to Africa's Sahel region has been described as the worst, most dangerous peacekeeping deployment. More than 5,000 French troops have underpinned the operation, but President Emmanuel Macron is under pressure to reduce his forces. Meanwhile, Mali's interim government announced on Thursday the composition of a new legislative body for the country's transition to civilian rule, with the military retaining a key role. Young army officers in Mali toppled President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August after weeks of anti-government protests. Military junta handed power to an interim government between September and October under the threat of international sanctions. The interim government is meant to rule for 18 months before elections. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has warned that nearly 22 million persons in the Democratic Republic of the Congo are facing acute food insecurity, a dramatic rise from last year. An FAO report says a conflict and the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, which have impacted food prices and livelihoods, have worsened the problem. The report says the country is now experiencing the worst, largest food crisis, as these factors are exacerbating humanitarian needs in the DRC. The UN also cited as contributing factors an economic decline linked to currency depreciation and drop in GDP growth and natural hazards such as flooding. The UN agency says in a report the number of people facing acute food insecurity at crisis or worse levels has dramatically increased from 15.5 million in 2019 to nearly 22 million. The FAO warns that with the acute hunger, any further disruption of food supply chains will only worsen human suffering and hamper efforts to address the problem. We'll be right back.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone, or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network, ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has tightened restrictions in the Eastern Cape province that has recorded increased COVID-19 cases. The president introduced a night curfew at the new hotspot in the eastern Nelson Mandela Bay area. The Nelson Mandela Bay is the largest municipality in the Eastern Cape province. It has recorded more than 130,000 infections out of the country's now 801,000 cases. 21,803 deaths have been reported. A ban on consumption of alcohol in public areas like beaches took effect on Thursday in a move the president said would reduce social gatherings. The number of persons allowed in an indoor event has been reduced to 100 and 250 for outdoor events. President Ramaphosa has urged people to observe the rules and restrictions put in place to prevent the spread of the virus. That is ANN News Brief at 1. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa.